O.J. Simpson dead at 76 from cancer. The murders of Brown and Goldman happened in 94. I didn't become a cop until 97. This case had a lot of impact on domestic violence training. DUI was the thing before this. Then domestic violence began getting more attention. And enough had come out about this case and trial that this was used in a lot of training. I became a domestic violence detective in 2001. This case helped get the Violence Against Women's Act passed. In my state, what's it take to get locked up for domestic violence? I mention that act because it changed the law. It changed the language of the law to the officer shall arrest, not may. The threshold for minor assault in my state is pain. Pain invisible. Body cams and recording 911 has made a world of difference in domestic violence cases. Juries and prosecutors can see just what I saw. The victim's demeanor, the suspect's demeanor, things that are said in spontaneous utterance. That if they weren't recorded, they'd be denied up and down later. Domestic runs are some of the most dangerous runs an officer can go on. And where I worked, you get 5 or 6 a night. And it's because emotions are running high and people don't think things through. And as a new detective, domestic violence is a good place to start. Because it's not a whodunit. We know who the suspect is. But it lets you refine how you interview people. What evidence is admissible if you lose your victim? Meaning either she turns on you and doesn't want to testify at all, or she's testifying on behalf of the defense. And also how you interrogate suspects. Usually no man is proud he put his hands on a woman. So I use that, and I try to give them justifications on why they did it, usually having to do with pride. And that's not a defense, that's a confession. I can talk about interrogation a little more if you find that interesting in another video. The trial showed at the time, people didn't really understand prior violence could lead to death. If you're strangled in a relationship, you are 300 times more likely to be killed by that suspect. It's a big red flag on prior violence. And you know your partner better than anybody. If you indicate any of these things, have a go bag. The jury didn't really understand DNA evidence and just how exact it really is. Coupled with that, they thought the LAPD was racist and dirty. And it brought up something that I don't like, but it is true. The public's perception is their reality, whether the department's dirty or not. And lastly, this case brought about something I didn't even know I was interested in. Profiling violent crimes. These crime scenes are gruesome. You can't help the victims anymore. You gotta look past that and try to see what the crime scene's telling you. And I'll be brief because I'm running out of time. What was the killer feeling during the crime? You can tell by the violence. Ron Goldman was basically stabbed and killed. Nicole was nearly beheaded. That's rage. That's personal. You're gonna see this in the Idaho 4 case as well. You're gonna know who the intended target was. Not totally unrelated, if you click the link on my profile, I have some new guides from the USCCA on how to pick out your first firearm and what your state laws are versus other states. And Killer Bee merch is available if you wanted to buy a hat and help support the channel. If you got something out of this video, please click the follow button and be aware and be safe.